Another day, another bill. I remember when I was younger, I always thought that being an adult meant that you could do whatever you want and buy whatever you want, but here I am, a full-grown adult, and all I do is pay bills and buy groceries. It's actually kind of sad how idealistic I thought my grown-up days would be versus how they actually are. It seems like no matter what I do, I end up having to spend money on something. Recently, I had to buy a bunch of new skincare because all of my stuff had run out at the exact same time, and that was just a huge bill. Now, I know what you're thinking. You don't have to buy skincare, but unfortunately, I do, because my face gets so crusty and dusty that if I don't get skincare, I will have more health issues, and health as well. Comment below a time when you also had to run out and get basically all of your toiletries at the same time. I'm so thankful that my bath toiletries hadn't run out, because that would have been so much more money if I had to get shampoo, body wash, conditioner, and all of that stuff on top of my moisturizer and facial serums. I will say, though, that the older I get, the more I realize this really streamlined process for beauty is better for me in the long run. I used to have so many different products, and I would layer them and do so much stuff, and I realized that my skin is happiest when I just kind of chill out and layer on just a couple of products. I don't do too much. I basically only have a moisturizer, a hydrating toner, and sunscreen these days. Also, as I've grown older, I understood why my parents were always like, we cannot afford any pets and we're not going to get you a pet. I do not need that much responsibility and even more bills. Plus, I like to travel a lot, and having to put up my dog or cat somewhere or figure out how they're going to travel is going to be another headache that I definitely do not need. Am I weird or the only person who goes around on all of the different aisles whenever I go grocery shopping and checks out the deals that I might have missed in the app? Even if they have an app and there's a bunch of deals on there, I find that most grocery stores offer items on clearance that you can't just see on the app, so you have to literally go aisle by aisle and see what offers they have. I'm a little ashamed to admit that my grocery shopping literally takes over an hour because I spend so much time looking at all of the different deals and doing the math. I literally am one of those people who are reading ingredient labels and pulling out their phone to calculate the cost per ounce, but you gotta do what you gotta do, especially in this economy, and I am not paying more for the same item. I love going to the Fred Meyer because they have digital coupons that you can stack on top of each other, and this week was such a good week for digital coupons because they also were running a bunch of buy one get one deals, so I was able to stack up on so many different things. Now, granted, I don't need to buy that many groceries because I live on my own and I don't cook all that often, which is a deplorable habit I am literally trying to get away from. These frozen pizzas by Totino's are literally my favorite thing ever. Every time they have them on sale, I stock up, and they're just an easy, quick meal for when I don't feel like cooking at all, but I want something comforting and hearty still. I really like just popping them into my air fryer or the oven and making sure that I get the bottom nice and crispy. That crust is literally 1 in a million. I don't know what they do, but it's so good. My number one pro tip if you're trying to avoid going out and eating at restaurants all the time is to literally just stock up on a bunch of frozen foods. I know that a lot of people are going to be like, that's the stupidest idea and it's so unhealthy, but it's literally the only option you have for people like me who don't like to cook all that often and who like to go out and eat at different restaurants. If you have a bunch of stuff in your freezer already, then you're less compelled to go out and get food because you can literally just pop it in the microwave. Plus, they literally have all sorts of things, like these frozen pot pies are really good. They have Italian food, they have frozen meals, of course. Nowadays, they have Chinese food that you can get. I got a bunch of different Chinese food and it's literally so good. I mean, of course, it's not gonna be as good as like at a Chinese restaurant, but it does hit the spot when you're like craving Chinese food and you don't want to spend money. Does anybody else remember eating lean cuisines back in the day? I used to get them and they all tasted really bad. Maybe I should get some more lean cuisines and taste test them these days and see if they're any better. Another really good pro tip that I have is if there's a really good deal for something, just literally stock up and get as many as you can carry with you home. That's what I do whenever my pantry staples are on sale. I just buy as many as I can. It will cost you more money up front because you're bulk buying, but in the long run, you'll be saving so much more money than you would have if you only buy a couple things but then have to replace them every so often. I also really like to just get a bunch of different frozen vegetables like you see in this shot. You can literally get whatever frozen veggies you want, pop them in the microwave, and they are such an easy meal. They're literally so nutritious too. I read something online that said that frozen veggies and frozen fruits are actually more nutritious than the foods that we can get fresh at the grocery store. Now, I don't know about all that, but I do know that I always stock up on these whenever they go on sale, and I'm talking about literally buying 15 each of frozen veggies, frozen broccoli, mixed corn, all of that stuff, and then I put it in my pantry and then I let that go for until the next sale. It's such an easy way to get a bunch of nutritious things into your diet without breaking your bank. I have literally not bought any of these kinds of snacks or snack cakes in such a long time. I find them such a waste of money and they're literally so bad for you too. I was reading the health and nutrition facts on the back of some of these snack cakes, and I know you should never do that. I mean, if you're gonna have a snack cake, just enjoy it, but for me, I was looking at it, I was like appalled at how unhealthy it was. I don't know if it's just me, but they also just don't taste as good as when I was younger either, so I'm not even missing out on that much. Pop-Tarts are also the same way. They're just not as good as they were when I was younger. Okay, this this might be my weirdest hack yet, but whenever I go to the grocery store, I literally never get one of those carts because I heard a psychological thing is whenever you're carrying a big cart or a big basket, you feel like compelled to fill it up all the way. So I just carry everything, and if I can't carry it, then I don't get it, or I just get one of those little baskets. You guys are gonna call me the biggest hypocrite ever because I was just talking about how I don't buy snack cakes, but I literally have a candy addiction, and that is my poison of choice. Every time I go to the grocery store, I will literally go to the candy aisle and I will pick out one thing, one little treat to get because I just cannot handle not having a little treat. Luckily, they are always having different sales on these, so I'm not spending too much money on these, and I'm definitely not breaking the bank, and I think that's why you save money anyway, right? You want to buy things that bring you joy instead of just buying things to buy them or spending extra money that you don't necessarily need. I always spend money on only the things that bring me joy if I'm spending money on things that I don't 100% need. Milano cookies have literally gone off the wall with how expensive they are. I don't know who is buying those. They are not worth it at all. Oreos and Chips Ahoy are also just way too expensive for what they are these days, and I will never advocate buying them because you can get the store brand and they will be just as good without you breaking the bank to buy them. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I also do not like Cheez-Its at all, but these teas by St. James are actually insanely good. I really like them. They're very expensive though. You literally pay $2.50 for just one can, which is 2 cups of it, so I don't buy them that often, but once in a while I will get it as a little treat. My second favorite section of the grocery store is the canned food sections. I think that canned food is such a great deal for what you get versus what you pay for. You can get so many different canned items and they will cost you so much less than their fresh equivalents, and they will taste just as good. Now you do have to be careful about the sodium, but that's okay. These baby corns are literally my favorite snack to eat. I will pop open a can and just nibble at it throughout the week. I love collecting things in glass jars too, so even though you pay a little bit more for glass instead of metal, I will always do that. I also have not had cereal in such a long time because I think that cereal is another scam. They charge you so much for what you get. Plus, these cereal manufacturers add so much sugar in all of their cereals that it's such a scam. You're basically just eating dessert for breakfast at that point, and I don't understand why so many people advocate for it. $6.49 for one of these boxes is also just too much money for the amount of nutrition that you might get. Cornflakes are okay because of the lack of sugar, but for stuff like Cookie Crisps, that's ridiculous. Even when these companies put their stuff on sale, I will almost never get cereal just because it is truly so ridiculous how much cereal costs these days, and for the amount of nutritional value that you might ascertain from one box of cereal, it's just not worth it. Same for granola. Most of the time I do not get granola because it's so high calorie and it's not even healthy. I'm not here to rain on your parade. Keep eating your cereal if you want to. Just be mindful of it and maybe throw in some oatmeal once in a while. I also have really been loving cream of wheat. Put a little bit of that, you can melt some butter and maybe even add a little bit of sugar, and it's so good and so much more nutritious for you. That is all for today. I love you guys so much. Let me know what other grocery stores I should go to, and I will see you next time. Bye!